Peter Aldous.
Thank you very much, Ms McVeigh. It's a pleasure to serve with you in the chair, and I congratulate the Honourable Member for Strangford for securing this debate. It's fair to say that almost a year on from the signing of the Trade and Cooperation Agreement with the EU, that its provisions were disappointing. There have been subsequent developments that have been disturbing from the perspective of the domestic industry, and we are yet to grasp the opportunity that managing our own fisheries provides to revitalise coastal communities all around the UK. That said, I do retain both confidence and hope that UK fishing can have a bright future. Off the East Anglian coast, the Reef Initiative, that's the renaissance of East Anglian fisheries, is moving forward. Its recommendations have been revised in the light of the Trade and Cooperation Agreement, and with support from the Blue Marine Foundation, its strategy is now being implemented. Ms McVeigh, what I shall briefly do is to highlight some of the challenges that the government must address by looking at individual fish species. Lowestoft, as a fishing port, historically was built on herring. The good news is that herring are back in the southern North Sea and are being landed in Lowestoft by vessels that are fishing in a sustainable and responsible way. However, there are two issues that need to be addressed if we are to make the most of this opportunity. Firstly, these stocks must be nurtured and properly managed. This cannot be done if high-powered fly shooters, particularly from the Dutch fleet, are allowed to fish our waters without any restriction. Ms McVeigh, it does seem perverse that whilst this is happening, the MMO are spending their time crawling over vessels in Lowestoft, making sure that they comply with every dot and every T of their regulations. Secondly, we need to rebuild the local processing sector so that the full value of the catch can be retained in the local economy. At present, the herring are landed in Lowestoft and then are driven overland to Cornwall for processing. This is ridiculous, and funding, whether through the £100 million Seafood Fund or through the Shared Prosperity Fund or from some other source, must be provided to help leverage in investment into local processing facilities. Ms McVeigh, whilst the increased herring catch is a fact, the opportunity to catch more sole and plaice is a fiction. The Trade and Cooperation Agreement provided for the UK to receive a substantial uplift in sole and plaice quota when the stocks did not actually exist. This was both a misrepresentation and highly irresponsible from the viewpoint of managing our fisheries in a sustainable way. I would be most grateful if my honourable friend the Minister could confirm that appropriate precautionary management measures have been put in place to ensure that in future the science and the reality are properly synchronised and are not so clearly out of step. Finally, Ms McVeigh, it was concerning that this year the total allowable catches for non-quota species in UK waters were not enforced. This has proved disastrous, both from the perspective of sustainable fisheries management and also for the UK inshore fleet. Large and well-resourced EU vessels licensed to fish in UK waters were in effect allowed a free rein to fish for valuable non-quota species. I would be grateful if the Minister could confirm that this mistake will not be repeated this coming year and protective measures will be put in place to ensure that small boats are not crowded out by larger and better resourced vessels. Ms McVeigh, in conclusion, the UK has not made an auspicious start to its return to being an independent coastal state. That said, in Reef and from all around the UK, there are people and businesses with great ideas and a desire to get on with the task of rebuilding our fishing industry. What they need from government as quickly as possible, and I sense that time really is of the essence, is a coherent and sustainable strategy for the management of English fisheries that will be properly enforced. Also, the opportunity quickly to roll out local fisheries management plans and the provision of seed corn funding for rebuilding our local infrastructure and facilities. Thank you.
Luke Pollard.